we were standing there at the tree line, and our kitty our female cat that went into heat escaped into the woods, and these two ravens landed in this big cedar tree right next to us. And there's like, I'm just talking, and I was like, ravens, get lost, and like, Raven. And I looked at Willow and I was like, your cat Raven just passed away. And we're yelling Raven at the woods as our cat is going to be mating with a black cat. And I looked at her, I was like, if our tiny kitty comes back and is pregnant and has a baby, and that kitten looks like your cat Raven, which is black and white tuxedo cat, then we'll keep him. And I said, and we'll name him Raven the second or whatever. And sure enough, our cat had kittens, and one of the kittens was a tuxedo black and white cat. Moving forward with compassion and reverence for all of us, just trying to get through this. Hey, kitty. Trying to get through all this. This is another one of my four cats, Phoebe. They're always actually just going for my plate of food. Would you like my plate? You're gonna be on film now. Phoebe means blackbird, the reincarnate of Raven, the other cat, Raven. It's actually a really cool story about this cat. Can I share that with people? Our cat, Phoebe's mom, was in heat and escaped outside, and we're like, no, don't, and so my daughter and I ran out there, and we're like, Tiny, get back here. And we were yelling at the woods for this cat to come back, and she was just off. She's like, I'm going to go and find my mate. And she ran off with this black cat. And as we were yelling for Tiny Kitty, two ravens flew up in this tree, and they were like just yelling, and they were there earlier that day. And in the past, the ravens have been known to call the coyote literally on our property. And then within a few days, a coyote will be in hunting if the raven's like, hey, there's some, I'm just afraid of those coyotes. If the raven comes, he'll kind of start yelling. He'll perch in the tree. He'll look at my chickens, and then they're the messengers. They're the sky messengers for the coyote, which is the ground hunters. And then the ravens aren't really like they're not the killer birds. They're not the birds of prey. They have the highest vocal capacity of all the birds. So obviously their gift is communication. And there's a lot of folklore about the raven. Going back to my kitty cat, blackbird, Raven. So the ravens were there earlier that day, and I was yelling at them, thinking that they were trying to tell the coyote about my chickens and my cats. And so I was kind of upset with them. I was like, get out of here, like, you're not gonna tell the coyote to come back. And so we were standing there at the tree line, and our female cat that went into heat escaped into the woods, and these two ravens landed in this big cedar tree right next to us. And they're like, I'm just talking, and I was like, ravens, get lost, and like, Raven. And I looked at Willow and I was like, your cat Raven just passed away. And we're yelling Raven at the woods as our cat is going to be mating with a black cat. And I looked at her, I was like, if our tiny kitty comes back and is pregnant and has a baby, and that kitten looks like your cat Raven, which is black and white tuxedo cat, then we'll keep him. And I said, and we'll name him Raven the second or whatever. And sure enough, our cat had kittens, and one of the kittens was a tuxedo black and white cat. And he was one of the last of the litter, and he was the biggest of all of the cats, and he was the favorite, and still is, of the mama cat. He's like, she's always like loved him harder and always like cleans him more, and he's just bigger, and he's like, I'm here, and just takes over. So that's the story about reincarnation, which is, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. If you're listening and this is not scaring you yet, you should keep listening, because I'm going to tell you a story about my cat, Coco, that just passed away. And that story that I just told you with Blackbird, or BB for Blackbird and Raven, the reincarnate of my daughter's cat, Raven, you can tell reincarnation cycles based on the gestation cycles of death and rebirth. And I actually had a download a couple of years ago. I actually just saw the recording I did about reincarnation, and I was on this fast. It was like back in 2020, and I was doing a green juice fast, and I was totally tapped in and getting all these crazy messages, and I got all these downloads about gestation cycles and number codes, and the 369, which a lot of number codes are based on the recycling and the flow, and the I don't have all the science behind that, but Tesla was really into 369. I looked into gestation cycles for cats, and I mapped out when BB passed, or I'm sorry, when Raven, her cat, died, which was her favorite, and then when the death to the life of BB, we noted that the time of death to birth was of that gestation cycle. So if BB was born like a month after that death, it probably wouldn't have been as confirming for me, based off my experience with reincarnations, about how gestation cycles. So when a soul has this passing, I believe that there's like a stage, a resetting placement in heaven, where, or in on a soul level, where we get to go and cleanse off all that we were, and we get to be on a soul level. We just are of the light and of spirit essence of our creator. And when we're up into this up like into your higher self, you get to look and reflect on the world. You get to see, I think, all timelines, and that when you decide that this is the timeline, this is the body, there's something about like all your lives, maybe because in the etheric world, time is not linear. So we get to kind of, I don't know, as a human sitting here talking about all the intertangling of time, it's not my job. My job right now is to just explain to you my observation in this current life of how I've seen our time recording be into gestational cycles of death and birth. I'm going to try to stay on track, but it's hard because I have like things I want to say, but I'm trying to finish up talking about the reincarnation of BB. So what I got after I understood the gestation cycle from my own download from spirit, I also found references in this Yaqui Pascua tribal remembrance and stories that I have, this book that I have for the Yaqui legends. And they are a South American tribe that's super strong. There's a beautiful, if you don't know about the Yaqui Pascua indigenous culture, it's really, really raw and introspective of the human race. And they have stated, based on my readings and my findings, that they know that their tribe has this death and rebirth. And when one of the tribal or the members of their family and community passes, they await the arrival of this being, of this soul to come back into form. And when they do, they're so in touch with this soul remembrance and this part of this the essence of this being, that when they come back, the shaman and the medicine man can recognize the soul in this rebirth. And based off the gestation cycle, they believe it's 1 year, and that when this soul decides to come back into a body, they literally greet them again like it's not a stranger. It's like, welcome back, and we see you now in your new form. And then they kind of just get back into their job in their community. But they just welcomed it like this. It was just so it was common for them to know that it was 1 year. So going back to the 369, cats, dogs, and humans all have different time sequences for gestation cycles, and also for our lifespan on Earth. And I feel like the shorter your gestation, the shorter your lifespan. And so the cat coming back was exactly enough time for the gestation, but also the soul reset of this cat. So when BB came, he looked like Raven. Hi, sweetie. Oh. I don't know if he's hearing his name or if he just feels what I'm saying. He usually doesn't visit me. So with Raven, BB King, we felt this remembrance of him, and he may even, but we knew that he needed to look like Raven in order for us to keep him. Otherwise, I was like, I can't have all these cats in my house. So Raven is a great reminder of this rebirthing. Oh, this is so sweet. I love the intuitive nature of our animals. And I know I am saying his name a lot, but he's really young. He doesn't quite understand. I pull his hair on. He doesn't quite understand his name yet, but he's getting it. So we reinvite him, and I reinvite all of my family members, human or fur, and welcome them back. And I believe that we can be in touch with the divine knowing of who they are when they come to our lives. A lot of people have pets and people that come back and they just know, like, definitely was my dog in a past life, or this was so-and-so in a past life. And a lot of us aren't welcomed to say that because of our Christian upbringing or our religious, belief systems don't talk about that, or we're shunned about that. So I guess I'm basing this off of my life experiences and an ancient tribal knowing that I definitely honor and listen to. So you can take it or leave it. So that was the story of Raven's reincarnation. What I wanted to, it's so bright. I was coming on here to wrap up my last show I did and just say thank you, but now I'm talking about cats being reincarnated, and I'm trusting the process of what my message is supposed to be about for this broadcast. The candle just blew out. of my candles. Now I had 2 lit. Now I have one flame burning. So from my heart, I will tell you that yesterday was the hardest day of my life. So far, it feels like maybe it's the closest to the event where I'm feeling a lot of remembrance of the morning that I had. But yesterday or 2 days ago, my cat Coco, who was born with us in our home through our cat Coraline, and he was like my favorite. He had this like warm caramel color to him, like a cocoa. And his mom was named Coraline, and Coco was the only one that looked like his mom. So we jokingly called him Coraline Jr. because he looked like her. He had that warm caramel, and all the other cats had more of this like gray and white tint. So it ended up being from Coraline Jr. to Coco or Cocoam. And he was my best friend, and he was a family member. I can't even explain to you the medicine that this feline gato friend of mine created in my life. But if you have had cats that are born into your home and stay with you for 12 years, is how long he chose to stay with us, you have a special friend. You have somebody who is with you for a reason. And I strongly believe that Coco was my spirit tribe. And I know this because I journeyed with him to find out who he was on the soul level. And he wanted to be an embodiment for me in this life through some time, the time that I was going through. He wanted to be in physical form. And he did a great job. And I'm so grateful for him. But when we put him down, I wept like I have never wept in my life. And it's to the point where I could hear myself and it didn't feel like me. And I had this burning in my soul area, and I was just weeping and I couldn't breathe. And I felt like I have lost something. And I couldn't stop weeping until I finally came home with my daughter was holding me, and I just kind of like grounded into my daughter because the love I have for her, which, it's like she's still with me, but he is not. And I can't explain the emptiness. And if you have had loss like that, I'm sure you understand. But it was like having a child missing. And I'm still mourning, and I'm still a wreck, and my eyes are really puffy, but I may look kind of like a cat myself with these puffy eyes. But with all of this, like I said, I wasn't expecting to come on here and talk about him or my experience. But if it's in alignment with this candle burning out, and knowing that it's his time to go, and that he was with me, and then this too shall pass. But as I worked with him when he was dying, and I was talking to him on a soul level, and I would listen to him. And as an intuitive, I can speak to animals. It's one of my gifts, which is really great because in that time I could hear everything that he needed to say. And he told me where to bury him, and he told me to keep telling him stories about his life. So I would just keep telling him stories about his life, and giving him Reiki and helping him not to be in pain. And when he was done, he was done, and I knew it. And I just I have to let go. And I know he was hanging on for me, and I was being selfish. And I was like, you're in pain. I have got to let you go. And I'm so sorry. So I have a little bit of guilt stuck in me from like hanging on to him, even though he was hurting. So after about, me calming down after his leaving, I'd see orbs, and I knew he was still in spirit, and I could feel him, and I was still having a sense of loss and lack. And we had a burial for him, and we did ceremony, and we said goodbye, and we closed. And as soon as, it was really weird, but as soon as he went into the earth, And we covered him in dirt, and we said, you know, our final, like, let the earth receive your body and your soul return to the heaven, or to your soul return to that from which it came. It wasn't until then that I really felt like he was gone. Like, but it was strange because the energy of the house shifted, the amount of sadness that I was holding shifted, and I just felt more at peace. There was something that shifted energetically for all of us, and it's not like he's missing any less, but there's something where I feel like there was closure from putting him in the ground and saying goodbye. But with this conversation that's become very strange, like I said, I came here to say thank you, and the reincarnation stories are coming up. But as Phoebe came to visit and say hello to you and remind me to tell you about his reincarnation story, I believe that there's a message for the candle that's about to burn out beside me, and saying that Coco might want to come back. And I honor that. And if Coco wants to come back as another fur friend of mine, maybe he wants to come back as a human, maybe he wants to come back as an owl and watch over me in that way. It's really up to his path, you know, and where all this is going is unknown in our little weird human understanding of life day by day. So maybe he's going to come back, and when he does, I'll know who he is. So that's my story. If you're listening, thank you for hearing me, and not making me feel silenced by my own sufferings. And the work that I want to do moving forward with my broadcast station, or Rose Apple Sage, or Soul Speaks podcast, or whatever it is that I'm doing, where I'm feeling like I'm supposed to be talking to you, sharing stories, and committing to this every week, is because I believe that if I'm dedicated to just sharing from my heart, that it is a resonance that might be something that you're needing to hear, and maybe somebody you know needs to hear, or whatever this is that we're doing as we merge with technology and spirituality. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak from my heart and listening, to support me moving forward. If you choose to subscribe to my channel, you can follow me on social media. You can say hello in a comment, or respond with your story and tell me about what's going on with you. I'm finding out that this interconnectivity is actually becoming a community, which is all that I've ever wanted. So I also have like a designer's eye for the spiritual community Facebook group, where we can have a little bit more communication there. So if you're interested in joining that, you could just let me know somehow. And however you see this, reach out and I'll respond to you. But yeah, maybe this is just the seed of growth and the evolution of my journey here, recording and talking. So I had fun. I had fun being raw and sharing my cat stories, and I hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, let's stay in touch. Thanks so much.